Hello, I'm Rick Joyner, and this is our video special bulletin, and we've got some special guests with us this week, Bill Johnson and Todd Bentley, and we've been doing this, going to try to do it just about every week, because there's so much interest out there about Todd and his restoration and the restoration process, and what does it look like, what does it mean, what does it not mean, and what do we mean when we're talking about restoration? You know, these are a lot of things that we really do want to define and make clear. And we also, we didn't realize the incredible amount of feedback we were going to get. Good, bad, hard, tremendous wisdom in some areas that we really appreciate. But one of the things we need to do occasionally is deal with misinformation that's going out. And sometimes, we understand some things we say may not be said as best or in the way that we meant them or intended them, and it could cause some confusion. So we appreciate the feedback on those things, but there's been an impression that Todd's about to just be released in ministry very fast. We don't have a timing. And the reason we don't have a timing personally, I've seen that when you give somebody a time like 2 years, 3 years, something like that, they don't kick into gear to get restored to do what they need to do often until right at the end when they're about, to me, the whole process. And we can so limit God. With him, a day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is as a day. He can do in one day what we think would take 1,000 years. I mean, with Peter, after he fell, and he really fell something very serious. He denied the Lord over and over. Lord has him back and leading the church, and we can't limit God. But I've seen people that I thought should have been restored in 8 weeks take 8 years because bitterness got in, other things they didn't go through. So we just say it's up to God, but we want to be sure the job's done, and we want to be sure that, whatever gates of hell that caused previous problems or sin or anything like that is closed. But we want to go through this as frankly and as openly and as transparently as possible. This whole thing, and we really do appreciate the input and different perspectives, but don't listen to all the rumors flying around. And sometimes we say things that may be easy to be misunderstood. But I wanted to give Bill Johnson, Bill agreed when I was first asked to head up, Todd's restoration by the Revival Alliance that Bill's a part of, and I was happy to do it. I'm honored to do it. And but I said only if Bill would stand with us, because I really appreciate this guy and who he is in the Lord and his wisdom, and Jack Deere. And Jack, we're going to be good cop, bad cop. Jack's going to be a mean cop. I mean, he just is. Jack, but he's absolutely uncompromising.
Yeah, that's right.
And the last thing we want to do is compromise any biblical standards.
That's right.
Anything like that. We are not going to go there. That would be to Todd's detriment, to the ministry, to the church. We don't want to go there. And Bill, none of us want to compromise anything, but I want to give you a chance, since you're here, to just share, what is on your heart about this process.
Yeah, we've got to learn how to restore people is what it comes down to. And we have processes that many of them are actually governed by the fear of man. And Jesus warned about mindsets. He warned about the mindset of Herod, and he warned about the mindset of the Pharisees. And Herod represents the political system, and the Pharisees, of course, the religious system. And then Jesus spoke of the kingdom. So there's 3 influences over our perception, our perspective on reality, on life, on things that unfold. And the best way to find out how people are driven, what influence on their mind they're actually driven by, is throw controversy out in the open and watch how people react. Because Pilate washed his hand of a matter in order to appear right before others. Both these realms of the fear of man, both these realms of political spirit and the religious spirit, both of them are driven by a common value. They both overlap like Olympic rings into a common realm called the fear of man. They both are driven by how they appear to others. And Pilate washed his hands of a matter because he wanted to appear right before people. And then there was the religious leaders that brought the woman caught in adultery, threw at Jesus' feet. They all had stones in their hand, and they wanted to judge a matter in order to appear right before others. And the third response is a kingdom response, and it is not a tolerance of sin. It is not weak grace. It is not things that just pretend and overlook and pretend all is well when it's not. Not at all. The kingdom is the most powerful influence in the universe. And for us to learn how to respond to challenges like Jesus did with a woman caught in adultery. She expected to die that day. She was thrown at his feet. Jesus just began to write in the sand, and whatever he wrote, we don't know what it was, but whatever he wrote released a grace into the atmosphere to where all of those who were driven by law, all those who were driven by that religious spirit, fled the scene because they couldn't stand in the environment of grace. And you folks know as well